All right, hello. We are on module 5, so a third of the way through our modules. So in this module, we are making vector avatars of either ourselves, a family member, friend, or a pet. So I have my dog, Stella, here for the demo. So just put my image in that assets folder. Make sure you're utilizing the assets folder. And I'm gonna download and then get started in Illustrator. And then I'm gonna move me off the screen. So let me go. Boom. Okay, cool. So in Illustrator, new file, and we are creating 10 by 10 artboards. We're doing 3 of them. We're doing this in CMYK, 300 PPI. I just want it to look like this. Okay, so 3 artboards, and instead of the Z pattern that we have been using in some of the previous modules, we're using just the arrange by row, so it goes straight across, left to right. And then don't forget to title your work or your file. And then create document. Boom. Okay. So let me get me off the screen. There we go. Okay. So from here, I don't know why that was on my other screen, but from here we're gonna do another template layer, which we should know from module, what was it, 3 or 4? 3, yes. Module 3, we use a template layer. So just to recap, what is a template layer? It is just a sort of guide layer that we use as reference. It does not, if we were to print these out, it would not be included in that print file. So going to File, Place, Desktop, that's where it is, and I'm going to select template layer just right here, make it easy for myself, and go ahead and place. Okay, I need to zoom out just a bit here. And remember, when you create a template layer, it auto locks, so we need to unlock that. The second thing we need to do, and don't forget to do this, is uncheck dim images. I know we use the dim images in module 3 for the doodle, but we don't need that here. And I will call this template layer. Okay, so I'm gonna scale down to about there. And I am gonna make a copy, so let's go holding Option or Alt and then Shift, placing that one over there. And then don't worry about the third one just yet, we will get to that. I can go ahead and right click these images, crop, oops, make sure it's selected, crop image, and I definitely could have cropped this and then duplicated it. It doesn't really matter as long as it gets cropped. So lock that, and let's start on the first task. So in this assignment, what we're going to be doing is creating vector images or vector avatars of our chosen subject utilizing 3 methods. The first method is going to be with the pen tool, which we should be familiar with from module 3. The second is going to be with the brush tool, which is a new tool, but should also feel like a familiar tool, especially if you used programs like Procreate or Photoshop before. Like, it's a little bit different than those programs. The brush tool and Illustrator is a little bit different, but very similar ideas. So I'm gonna start just with my new layer, and I want to put text up so you guys can see. So this is going to be with the pen tool, and when I say pen tool, I mean like any of the path making tools. So curvature tool is fine, and then this guy is going to be with the brush. And this last one will be utilizing the image trace, and we'll get to that last. Okay. So, just so I don't confuse myself, unlock. All right. And I could rename these too. Pen tool reference, and this will be brush tool reference. And let's lock it. So and we'll lock the text too. And then create a new layer. So for the pen tool, this should be, reminiscent of module 3, doing the digitized doodle. You're welcome to use the pen tool or the curvature tool for creating this vector image of our character or subject. But before I begin, what I want to do is create a custom swatch. Create a custom swatches to reference back to. So I'm going to create a new color group, just call this module 5. And then I'm going to take my eyedropper tool, and I'm going to select 4, 5, 6 like major colors that I see throughout the image. So just pressing I for eyedropper tool, you'll see, if you just watch this little color guy right here, how he changes as I kind of eyedrop throughout the picture. Let's start with this deepest gray, and I'll go to add, making sure, just a reminder, we are in CMYK. And then again, let's grab really deep brown. Okay. And then a lighter. Okay. Then a deep, deep brown for the eyes. And we'll do pink for the tongue. Okay. And then probably like a really, what's this ear color? Like a pinky brown. Okay. I should drag these all down here, and I'm gonna try and organize them from lightest to darkest. and then put my pinks over there. I'm not going to worry about the background. My subject is just going to be her head and then her tongue sticking out, so I'm not going to swatch anything else. So from here, I'm going to use curvature tool. Yeah, I'm going to use curvature tool and do my edits with the direct selection tool as needed, making sure that this layer has all my pen tool paths. So pen tool, and then starting with curvature on top. How I'm going to approach this is from largest shape to smallest shape, and that you're welcome to start with this finer details, but what makes sense to me personally is just doing a large outline of the greater image and then lowering the opacity and working in those smaller details like the eyes, the nose, and the tongue. So starting with curvature tool, let's just outline the tongue and head sort of loosely. And I already see that I can't see, I'm already getting parts of my image blocked off. So what I'm going to do is just lower this opacity now to about 50%. And that way I can continue to follow the shape of her head. And then let's connect that to make a closed path. I'm going to go in with direct selection tool. Let's zoom in just even more. Gotta make sure I'm on the right tool. And then from here we can adjust those Bezier handles just to line up everything as accurately as possible. Oops. Make sure we click. So we're not moving the whole thing, we're just moving those anchor points. Oh, there we go. Right. Great. So I have, well, just like a couple more to edit here. But just loosely, I have the outline of her head done. I know I included the tongue, but I'm going to do that separate. So the next, I'm going to make my next path, going back to curvature tool. I'm going to go ahead and label this path the head and just lock it so I don't accidentally do any editing to that path when I create my next path. So going in, let's do the tongue. And remember, double clicking on that on the curvature tool will give you those harder edges, which I don't think is not quite a hard edge. Kind of is. Okay. I'm gonna add another anchor point there. And one right there. Move that guy there, and then select the pink. And you know what, maybe we'll do tongue. Okay. Maybe what we'll do is grab one of those light pinks. So we'll do a top, the top of it, this light pink, and then the bottom we'll make those darker pink, and then let's put that line in there to really define what it is. Adding those new swatches. Okay, okay. Boom. Locking my template layer. And let's see. I know it's there. There we go. So the greater part of the tongue is this light pink. And I'm gonna lower that opacity so I can still see through. Maybe I'm just gonna like get rid of that, the head background altogether, so I can continue to see. Lock the tongue, and then let's create this tongue split. Do it in that dark pink. Looks good. Rename this tongue split, and then we'll do another layer, or I'm sorry, another path, and that's gonna be here, here, and that's that darker pink. And then one final for the tongue detail. Yeah, I actually quite like that. Cool. So let's turn let's go to V selection tool, grab that tongue, change the opacity back to 100. All right, so all of these guys are gonna be part of the greater tongue vector. T detail 1, T detail 2. And what I'm gonna do now is, since I turn the opacity up 100%, I'm gonna lock that background tongue and just adjust these so they fit better with that background, if that makes sense. So these tongue details, these darker details, sort of fit with the bigger shape. So they're not like hanging off like this. And it's okay if you have some sticking through. Of course, like there's gonna be light differences, like actual light variations and different shadows throughout. But we just don't want it to be like obviously sort of hanging off. We want it to look like it's still part of it. And you know what we'll do is take that tongue split, put it on the very top. So it sits there and it covers up any sort of mistake. You see how this layer kind of reaches over this way. And then putting that tongue split on top just covers that up. So we'll zoom out. All right. So what I can do here, can we just group them together? Select everything, so just clicking and drag, selecting everything, and we will group them. So that means if I move one, go back. Well, if I move one, they all move together. Oh shoot, this is a Windows machine with a Mac keyboard, my bad. I was trying to undo and I was hitting command, but I need to hit control. Okay, so from here, I have that group, the tongue group, which makes up all the details of the tongue. And I can go ahead and lock that. I'm not gonna need to touch it again. And we have the greater, head background. I'm just going to select it. Make sure it's not like sticking out anywhere weird. I see this spot. Let me check that spot. And that's just the lower part of her jaw. Okay. So I don't need to touch this just yet, but I'm gonna make a new path. And let's do her eyes. Okay. So her eyes, I think what I'm gonna do is a couple things here. She has this like darkening around her eyes. So let's do, eyedropper, make sure we have this sort of dark gray. Add that to our swatches. And then I'll go, make sure I'm on the right layer. And then over here. And then move these paths underneath. All right, these we will change. Let's make sure the opacity is. Oh. So she has white, and then she has an eyeball that we need to, or like her pupil. So let's change these to white. Lower the opacity. And then just zoom in and edit. Something like that is good. Select the next path. And then tighten this one up. Grab that Bezier handle. Boom. Okay, cool. And all right, so eyes are good. I'm just gonna keep that opacity down, put that one back down, and then we'll do the actual iris and pupil in that dark brown. Oops, and that's why we should lock the paths underneath. So we don't accidentally activate them. And just editing this so it's more round and turning it brown. Next. Okay. Gonna hide this. And then lastly, let's do those iris or pupils, sorry. Keep getting those confused. Do it darkest. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then let's view everything. Zoom out. Kind of scary looking. Unlock, unlock, unlock. Select. Should make sure we put those opacities back to 100%. So from here we can see like there's some obvious flaws to some of the shapes. What I want to do is just tighten this up so she's like a bit cuter. She's a little scary looking on this vector, I think. So taking that with, if I could just adjust without moving the whole shape. Adjusting that sclera, the white part of her eye. So it looks a little bit more intentional, more like I'm creating a dog design, not just like, I guess, more like translating an image rather than just straight up copying it. Okay, looks good. So if we take that head, my bad, we got this. Zoom out. All right, so a little not so pretty right now, but this is what we have so far. I would go in, I think, you know what, I will complete this for the demo. You can definitely skip ahead, or I could probably fast forward this too. But before I move on, I am going to just lock that, select those eyes, and group them together. That way I can easily toggle them on and off. All right, so I'm gonna go in and just finish up the nose and some ear details and maybe like a little bit on the top of the head. So if you want to fast forward, you can. Otherwise, I will probably just speed this up. So I have a lot of this completed. I did give the eyes a gradient. I just felt like that solid color was not that great, but I have all my shapes. I just need to do a little bit of rearranging on this layer. So I'm gonna select this little eyebrow, bring him up to the top. Select this eyebrow, bring him up to the top. We can also right click, arrange, bring to front, or send to back. Two different options. Let's send this towards the back. And adjust those opacities. All right, cool. So let's go ahead, give this a background. And I'd probably do something decorative, but you kind of get the idea here. Some of these you might want to give like a gradient to. Let's do this. And what I'm doing right here is I am selecting that path, pressing G for the gradient tool. I just want one selected. G, and then dragging that gradient so it looks like it blends a little bit more. So make sure just that one is selected. G. Boom. I'll do the same thing here. G. Something like that. Assign it the gradient. maybe we'll do a gradient on this one too. But we'll do a radial. There we go. So I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. I would probably spend a little bit more time just sort of stylizing to make sure she looked a little bit cuter. Something about the eyes here, I feel like I'm not doing them justice, but let's move on. So I'm gonna lock that layer, and I'm gonna make sure I have my second image on my template layer showing. Go ahead and lock it, and then I'm going to make a new layer. We're gonna call this the brush. So this one should be fun to do, or I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that. This one should be a little bit more intuitive to do, and we can utilize like some of the different stroke, the stroke decoration, ornamentation, like we've done in module 3. But essentially what we're going to be doing is, instead of outlining with the pen or curvature tool, we will be literally drawing our shape with either the paint or the blob brush tool. So let's zoom in here. And this, if you have like a Wacom tablet, that would be very helpful here. I'm gonna get rid of that stroke. And zooming out. Again, we'll go over, so into the paintbrush tool, outlining just like we did with the pen tool. And if it's not giving you a fill, make sure it's a solid shape, like a closed path. Let's get rid of that stroke. So again, I'm not going to spend too much time going over this one, since we already kind of went through layering and stacking shapes, but we're just creating shapes with the brush tool instead. And if I had my Wacom tablet attached to this computer, this would make it so much easier. Because outlining with a mouse is, I mean, it's not the easiest. So I would do the kind of the same treatment. This does give you the option to like stylize a little bit more, give it like that organic drawn feel. And lastly, we are going to use the image trace for our third artboard. So just pretending like I have that middle one done. What I'm gonna do is take one of my reference or template images, drag it over here. I'm going to create a new layer. We're going to call it image trace, and I'm going to drag that into the image trace folder, locking those, and I can rename this image trace reference. So now image trace is going to do basically all the work for us in this one. We want to activate the image trace panel by going to Window, Image Trace, making sure that we have our reference image selected. We want to change this to color, mode, color. And under colors, we want to use probably as little as possible. So check the preview. I have 6 colors here. All right, so we get this like sepia toned. I'm not really liking that. Let's up the colors to 9. Do 11. And we just have to let it process in between each change. But this will generate those automatic paths. Let's go maybe down to 10. And just waiting for the preview. Let's go. I'm gonna stop messing with it. But image trace. Where's the image trace? Will now live on that image, that reference image. So, that is it. Zoom out. So once you're done, take a screenshot of all 3. Make sure you export not only you not only save your Illustrator file, but you also save your PDF version within your file folder for module 5. Your assets should have that image reference, and I haven't moved it in there yet, but it should have your reference image of your character, or like your subject. So your pet, you, friend, family, I don't care, whoever. So make sure you do that. Upload, make sure that's all on your online Google Drive. And where am I? Okay. Yeah, that should be about it. And then don't forget to post to the discussion board 3 artboards, 3 different stylizations of the same image. All right, thank you.